Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the Rev Dude, coming at you for another exciting episode of King Me Rev's Hype Podcast. And today, I am very excited. And you say, oh man, you say that all the time. Well, you know what I say? That's because I bring on exciting people. Why wouldn't I be excited? Woo! And here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all genders, he is second to none. And the boss. The one true king of Memphis Wrestling, Tim Bosby. Woo, Tim. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm very excited, very, ready for this one. I've been, like I just said a minute ago, been really watching your stuff. Want to make sure if anybody hasn't seen stuff, I've been seeing great matches you've been having in Action Wrestling, obviously in Memphis Wrestling. I love the one with you and Nick Nemeth. I thought that was a really great one. And then the fact that you got to tag up with Frankie Kazarian. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You can't get that. And you know what? I should have known it, and I lost my mind. I literally put it in the when I was watching it on YouTube and the Action Wrestling YouTube channel, I put the comment because I swear to God, Ref Gina is everywhere. Ref Gina.
Gosh.
She is everywhere. And then she's all up in your face. And I was like, she's, what is going on? That woman is everywhere. You know what's crazy? And this is a true story, right? I mean, I get to see her very often. She normally does the open up here in Worcester. Mondays, she does the Monday show. She does the Thursday show. She does a lot of stuff for Beyond. And I went to Philadelphia last year for AEW, a Saturday night show, right, for Collision. And coincidentally, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was Action Dean 3. So it was an Action Dean 3 show, which had CMLL guys. It had, obviously, Ring of Honor talent, it had AEW talent, and had Action talent. And of course, the first referee getting in everybody's face was Gina. And I was just
Of course. Gina sucks. I hate Gina. No, Gina's great. I always wanted to work with her and have her be a referee for one of my matches. I think she's incredible. I think she's the best referee. And then she got to be the ref or at least she got to partially be the ref for me and Darian Bankston before I hit her with a championship, but that's besides the point. So.
Right. She's a tough cookie, man. She's a tough cookie. Sometimes she's in the ring with certain dudes, and I'm like, she looks more swole than those dudes. Like, she could probably
tell me about
it.
Dude, she's jacked. She might be on the gas. I don't know. But yeah, Gina's jacked. I'll never forget SCI weekend 2024. I was in a big 8-man tag, and she was the referee. And I was a good guy at the time. So, typically the referee may be meaner to the bad guys, but there was a moment where I tried to get in the ring to do something, and she got straight in my face and said, Bosby, get your big ass out of the ring. I said, whoa, Gina, Jesus, I'm a good guy in this match. She got right in my face and had no problem telling me to get the hell out of the ring. By the way, I didn't even ask, can I cuss on this?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, yeah. I cuss a lot. But yeah, Gina just told me to get my big ass out of the ring. Got all of my face. And I got scared for a second. I felt like my mom was yelling at me or something, but
right.
Yeah, no, she's awesome.
I've seen her get in many people's faces, especially Beyond Wrestling had I should say the Wrestling Open, Beyond Wrestling, however you want to put it. They had a show for Christmas, No Presents for Christmas, and it was a tag match with Dustin Waller, the Flash, right? And Dustin tried to pull some stuff, and she was all over him, and I tell people to go back and watch that show for 2 reasons. Number one, it's the first time I got to be an announcer on independent wrestling television, so it was exciting for me, right? To have a debut of sorts. And then number 2, you go back and you watch that match. It was a tag match, Wrench and Resolve versus Dustin Waller and Kylon King. And she just got into Dustin's face and she's like, fuck you, Dustin. Smashed him. It was It was you don't often see referees get physical with people, but it's not too shocking when it's Gina. That's all I'm that she is she my daughter is like, that's my hero, right? um yeah, man. So yeah, but once again though, thank you for coming on. A lot of people were thinking that I was like throwing clout or something. They're like, how'd you meet this guy? And I'm like, just lucky. Just happened to be sitting there when he sat down in Vegas, and I was just like, hey man, you want a podcast? And he's like, sure, why not? Fuck it. And so there we go. That's the story. Some people were like, I don't know, man. I don't know. So I can't wait to put this one on the internet. They're gonna be like, all right, I guess that guy wasn't full of shit. I'm like, yeah. To be fair, I mean, I always pull it out though. Dijak right here. He's Donovan Dijak, right? He's actually my coach. Um, Wonderful person, definitely a scary coach, but you know, he's just a big guy. What are you gonna do? So if I've had guys like him on the podcast, we'll be fine. But I'm curious about you because I know you have an amateur wrestling background, of course, right? Superstar in amateur wrestling, then you moved over to professional wrestling. I know there's at least from people like Kurt Angle who've talked about this stigma, right? But was there any apprehension for you to move from amateur wrestling to pro wrestling with the two being so completely different?
No, so I've loved professional wrestling my entire life, and it's all I ever wanted to do. And I only joined the wrestling team my freshman year of high school purely for pro wrestling. Just because, as you just mentioned, Kurt Angle, guys like him, Brock, Shelton, Dolph Ziggler, even there's a lot of guys that have done it and then transition over. So I was just like, okay, well, I guess I just need to go ahead and do this so they can prepare me for pro wrestling because I was a fat, out of shape kid going into high school. So I just joined purely. I could not give two shits what happened. I just was wanting to learn, get in shape, and be ready for pro wrestling. And then I ended up being kind of good at it. And I was not like an offensive machine or nothing. I just have big tree trunks for legs and a size 16 shoe, so it was hard for people to take me down. And so I was really just all defense. And I just ended up being pretty decent at the amateur wrestling thing. And then it just made for easier transition. It helped me out because I lost a lot of weight, was able to learn how to roll, learn how to fall before even getting into pro wrestling. And that just made the transition a lot easier. And it was really the best decision ever of going into amateur wrestling to prepare myself for pro wrestling.
Did you have a great support structure going through those transitions?
Yeah. My mom and dad, uh, the best. Well, my mom was not a fan of amateur wrestling, and she's not a fan of pro wrestling, but she supports it. But you know, I'm an only child, so she's like, "Oh, I don't want to see my baby getting thrown around and putting knots and everything." But my dad's a big wrestling fan, and then when I transitioned over to amateur wrestling, he thought that was a cool sport in itself. He tried to get me to wrestle when I was younger, but I was too scared to do it then. And then it wasn't until I was older I was like, "Oh, I guess I need to go do that." And tough tough enough to go through that to be ready for pro wrestling because pro wrestling hurts as well. So I just need to suck it up now. But yeah, they were both very supportive. My dad came to pretty much almost every wrestling event when I was in high school. Um, my mom came to one wrestling event when I was in high school. She couldn't take it. Like I was a freshman, and my freshman year, I was just getting it was my first year wrestling, so I was just a sack of meat out there. I was getting beat left and right because you don't know what you're doing, and you're going against like juniors and seniors that have been doing it since they were 5. And my mom came to one match, and I got like beaten 13 seconds, and the next match was like it went 3 rounds, but I was just getting ragdolled around. She couldn't take it. She started crying in the bleachers. She couldn't handle it. But besides that, they were always there and very supportive, and same as when I fully transitioned to pro wrestling, still both very supportive and uh, being there for me all the time.
Shout out to them, right? Regardless of that, I think that's such a wonderful thing, right? Because as a parent myself, I got 3 kids. Kids don't always do exactly what you want them to do, but when they're passionate about something and they love it, and you're able to let's say, guide them as much as you can through such a tough situation. It's a beautiful thing, right? Supporting your kids. I know some people out there who just don't even have parents. And to be fair, on the time this drops, it'll actually be closer to Father's Day to shout out to dads, right? So it's great to hear that you did have support in structure. In my particular instance, my daughter, she's 13 right now. She's trying to do the whole she is for the where she does wrestling photography, and she's already kind of pledged New England Pro Wrestling Academy. So as soon as she's 16 and they are okay with her training, she's going to go start training herself. So it just makes it so much easier in life when you have people standing behind you and being there for you. So it's wonderful to hear that you had that. Where did you go to pro wrestling school?
So I went to the Memphis Wrestling Training School. Is ran by, at the time, Dustin Starr, Derek King, and Alan Steele, which those are kind of three more local Memphis guys that kind of just wrestled in the Memphis area. The most well-known of the bunch would be Derek King. However, he was signed to World Wrestling Entertainment back in the day, and he did the OVW. He was a part of that class, and Cornette actually loved him so much that he was kind of not necessarily on the payroll listed as it, but he was like the assisted trainer, and he helped guide along Cena, Brock, Shelton, Randy. It was actually kind of cool. There was a clip that came out a few weeks ago that somebody at some convention asked John Cena about his Memphis days and asked if he remembered Derek King. And John Cena was like, "Oh my God, yeah, Derek King. He helped me so much. I love that guy." So that was a kind of cool clip that kind of got seen. But yeah, those are three guys, Derek King, Dustin Starr, Alan Steele. And I started training June 1st, 2022. I graduated high school May 19th, which is crazy. That was yesterday, 4 years ago. And then I started in June 1st. So quick turnaround, and had my first match somewhere in October of 2022. And then we just been off to the races.
What would you say was the biggest lesson you learned from someone like Derek King? Because he's trained so many great people.
Oh, God. I don't know. There's a lot of Cornette-isms that he has. So I don't know, because that's who he spent most of his time under and learning from Cornette. Oh gosh. It's gonna be the simple things that are yeah, of course, no duh. But sometimes you get told something simple and it doesn't click right away, or you have to have the right person tell you. Um, I would say something like just enjoy the moment, enjoy the ride, so to speak, which is yeah, no duh. That sounds simple, but sometimes you can kind of get lost in what you're doing and be you get so caught up in what's going on, maybe drama or whatever. The wrestling entails a lot of stuff, but just enjoy and sit back hey, remember the goal was to just be a wrestler, and all the drama or whatever else is going on, it doesn't really matter. You're doing what you want to do, you know. I saw a quote the other day that kind of made me think oh damn, that kind of hits. I'm gonna butcher it so bad because I'm dumb, but it was something it's a privilege to be tired from the work that you prayed for. And it's oh man, I thought about that because sometimes I'm dude, I'm so tired. This shit sucks, always traveling, doing something. But then it's when I first started wrestling, all I wanted to do was be busy every weekend. And then I wasn't. I was only working once a month. But now I'm working 10, 12 times a month. So it's yeah, I'm tired, but this is what I wanted to do. So, it's a privilege to be tired from the work that you prayed for. But yeah, Derek just kind of taught me just to enjoy the ride, enjoy everything. Because there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. There's going to be middles. Just enjoy the ride. And remember, this is what you wanted to do.
So, man, ups and downs. Simon Miller would be so happy we said that one.
Hey, Simon Miller. I ran him in Vegas, and that was probably the best moment in Vegas. I'm not gonna lie. I was at the gym for WrestleMania weekend. I think it was a Saturday morning or something, and I was working out, and I saw him, and I was looking. I was like, no, it's not. And then I kept doing my set, and I was like, oh my God, that is Simon Miller. I am going to go be a big mark, and I'm going to go ask for a picture. I went straight up to him, interrupted his set and everything. I said, sorry, dude, I got to get a picture with you. I was watching him, oh God, probably since I was like 12 or 13, you know? So that was really cool. Why? Here's why. I wanted to do it with them, but I was like, oh, I'm already being too much of a mark asking for a picture.
He honestly, he probably would have loved it. I love the fact that every year, these guys, the last 2 years in Vegas, they've been hosting live ups and downs, live stuff like that. And if anybody gets the chance to go back and look on the channel, you're going to see that I spent 4 nights with Simon Miller and the guys. And there was times where we didn't even talk about like wrestling. We just talked about random movies and other stuff. Especially the last night, the Monday night. It was kind of strange because I was used to hanging out with those guys till almost like 1 a.m. every night. And then on Monday night after Raw, the beer house that we had been staying at the last couple of nights, they shut down at 10 o'clock. And my brain couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I was like, they're throwing us all out right now? Like, what do you mean? So used to being out till 3 a.m, it's shutting down at 10 o'clock. My brain couldn't understand what was going on. But it was kind of wild because me and Adam Nicholas and Adam Wilborn sat outside with some other fans, just shooting the breeze about like NXT and some other stuff. It was a very surreal experience to spend 4 days with those guys. Personally, Simon Miller's a influence on me, a hero of mine. I actually paid $200, 100 bucks per each for custom Simon Miller action figures. And when I saw him on that Friday, I gifted him a Simon Miller action figure, and he was kind enough to gift me back with a free seat to SmackDown that night. So
wow.
Yeah. It was a great trip. And if anybody looks back on the YouTube channel, I actually went through not all of their videos because there's way too many of them, but I went through at least the ups and downs and a couple other ones where they personally shout me out or they show me on camera for various reasons. I mean, like an 8-minute thing. Yeah, I totally get where you come from, because if I didn't have the time hanging out with him and I saw him somewhere randomly, I would have done the same thing. He's a great guy. So, and man, here's why. You know what's funny too is he actually gave me permission if I wanted to start doing the ups and downs and copying his whole format, because I used to do something similar for independent wrestling here in New England, and I thought about it and I asked him and I was like, would it be weird? And he's like, if you could do it on a consistent basis, it's worth it. But if you want it, it's all yours. So I got the if the Rev dude starts doing ups and downs, I don't think I've told the story either, so it's a great time to segue into it. If the Rev dude starts doing his ups and downs, I got blessing from the Godfather himself. So we're good to go.
That's cool.
Great stuff. So, you said you've always loved wrestling. Who are your guys back then?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of them. But we'll start when I was younger. My first real guy in professional wrestling, I was 6 years old. This would have been 2010. When The Miz turned on John Morrison, I don't know why. I just thought The Miz was the coolest guy in the world, and I said, that's my guy right there. And I was just a big, big Miz head for years. My dad took me to WrestleMania 27, so I got to be there when The Miz main evented against John Cena. And I don't think nobody in that building liked that match except me, because I was ecstatic that my boy retained the title. He may not remember the match because he got concussed, but I do.
Yeah.
I still remember we were literally, we're up there in the rafters with Sting. Like, we were all the way, like, we were the last row of nosebleeds. I could put my hand on the ceiling wall. We were so high up, and you couldn't even see like the ring. The ring is like ants. You couldn't even see the Titantron. Like, that's how far back we were. But I still remember the experience. I remember all the matches, but I just remember the Miz retaining and being so happy. So when I was a kid, the Miz was my guy. I've gone through a lot of different phases, but my first guy, and he still is my guy to this day. I'll always love him, The Miz. And then kind of going into my teenage years, I only watched WWE until 2017 because this match. I would listen to a lot of podcasters, and I would, go on a lot of websites to try and read about wrestling and keep up. But this match, everyone kept talking about in 2017, this Kenny Omega and Okada, this the greatest match of all time. And I was like, okay. I was one of the Fed diehard shooters where, if it wasn't WWE, I looked at it as inferior, and I was like, I'm not watching it. But then everyone kept talking about it, so then I watched like a 7-minute highlight of Kenny and Okada from Wrestle Kingdom, and I couldn't believe what I watched in 7 minutes, and I had to figure out how to watch it in full. And then I watched it in full, and then I just became literally the biggest New Japan fan. And then I discovered wrestling outside of it. I literally didn't watch WWE for a year. I put all my attention to figuring out everything that exists outside, and then discovering Kenny Omega. I type his name in, and then it'd be like Bryan Danielson. And I said, Bryan Danielson, that's Daniel Bryan. Wait a minute. And then Tyler Black, hey, that's Seth Rollins. Wait, Kevin Steen, that's Kevin Owens. And I just discovered that I didn't know guys had a past. I just thought they just showed up and now they're in the WWE. And then that was just it. I didn't know everybody has spent so much time in all these different places. So then Kenny Omega became my guy just because he just introduced me, and I just found a lot of people. Then Zack Sabre Jr., who the coolest thing in the world was WrestleMania weekend, getting to be on the same show as Zack Sabre Jr., Minoru Suzuki, Jonathan Gresham, Timothy Thatcher. I mean, I can't put into words how awesome that show was. Being on the same card as those guys and sharing a locker room with all of them and kind of getting to chat it up with all of them as a peer when I was, being a mark for them for years and still am a mark for all those guys. So, yeah, I've gone through a lot of different phases, but when I was a kid, I'd say The Miz, and then kind of through teenage years, Kenny Omega, and then MJF as well. Big MJF guy. So.
Yeah, those are some pretty solid picks. The whole idea that it didn't, because there are some people, let's be honest, I gotta applaud you. There are some people who are 35 and still haven't seen anything outside the Fed, right? I was literally standing there last year at WrestleCon when some guy came up to Matt Cordona and he's like, "Hey man, you ever gonna wrestle again?" And I'm just like, "Oh my God. What do you mean? What are you? Oh my God." And he just called him Zack Ryder and everything. And I was just like, oh my God.
So, when I was a kid watching all the documentaries, they make it known, or they try and, present it as hey, everything else is inferior. So as a kid, that's why I didn't watch TNA as a kid. It would pop up, and I knew of AJ Styles because my dad used to talk about him, but I'd always go, he doesn't work for WWE. It doesn't matter. I was 9 years old bearing AJ Styles because he didn't work for WWE. That's how my brain worked and was wired.
Right.
I strictly only watched the Fed. And like I said, when I opened my eyes, oh my God, there's so much good wrestling out there. I literally didn't watch WWE for the rest of 2017. I kept up with it on the news, but I literally did not watch anything else. I became so enamored with everything else that was out there.
Yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan because you could just go on the internet and you can watch wrestling from almost any country on earth with any form of level or talent, any style. India now has a couple of big wrestling companies that are putting on all kinds of crazy matches. I mean, obviously you can go and watch anything from Shimmer, Shine. There's all kinds of really insane crazy women's stuff going on everywhere. New Japan has their stuff, CMLL, AAA, right? There's so many. And then the independent scene, right here in New England alone, we have 60 different wrestling companies and 15 different wrestling schools. There's all kinds of wrestling going on at any given time. You could watch most of it for free on YouTube, for Christ's sake, right? Or you can pay $10 a month for IWTV. And I'm not getting a plug for this, but I'm just saying it anyways. The fact that there's so much Triller TV puts on a bunch of stuff. And then there's some great traveling shows. Like if I ever get the chance, I go to HOG to see my boy Zilla, right? There's so much great wrestling going on right now. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. But you wouldn't know it because there's a lot of negativity with the wrestling fandom on the internet for some wild reason.
Gosh,
Doesn't make
there always
doesn't
will be.
always will be. But you know what? I would say the beautiful thing is, at least in person, people aren't so far I haven't seen much of that negativity in person, right? So far when most of the shows that I've gone to, there's been someone who I met you at New Texas Pro when we were in Las Vegas, right? You were there. There was literally a whole litany of talent just sitting behind us, either waiting for because there was like 5 shows at that same place that day. So there's a bunch of people just waiting for their turn, right? So to speak. I mean, talk about Simon Miller. When I went to Ups and Downs on Sunday night, I got to have a talk with Nick from Pandemonium Wrestling. I got to talk to there was a whole group of pro wrestlers just that showed up together in all kinds of stuff. So the happy positivity is definitely out there, which is great, because if it was in person too, I think I'd have to stop going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how the internet works, There's always going to
Right.
be some negative trolls, and like they'll say whatever on the keyboard, but then like nobody's going to anybody's face and saying something.
No.
Oh my goodness, come on.
Right. Right. So, you we talked about, Derek King. We've talked about it. My question for you is, like, Memphis has such rich wrestling history. How much does that legacy mean to you as a hometown guy?
Couldn't give 2 shits about it. Just gonna be honest. I get so much heat. I think all the old Memphis stuff sucks. Godly, I dreaded the training days when we had to watch like Lawler and Dundee matches, because I don't know, like, I guess I'm just a part of the new generation, my younger mind, I guess. I'm like, man, these guys aren't doing anything in these matches. I don't know. Like, I can appreciate some of it because it's so simple, but then like sometimes it's like, man, it's really too simple. Like, these guys aren't even doing anything in these matches. But no, Memphis Wrestling does have a very rich history. Um, you know, Lawler, Dundee, all the other old guys. I can respect it to a certain degree. I'm not like everybody else. That's a huge mark for it in this area. Um, I get a lot of heat for saying I'm the new king of Memphis. So some people look that with the fans and actually people in the area that are wrestlers or in the business too are not fans of it. But I don't really care. I don't. I want to be. Lawler is known as like the Memphis guy, and like when you think of Memphis, you think of Lawler. I kind of want to be that. Like when you think of Memphis, you think of me, the new generation of it, and kind of piss on the old generation. So that's a little bit me doing a character and a little bit me not doing a character. But
Hey,
I
you know what?
like to toe the
Honesty
line
is
a
just
little
the
bit.
best. Right. No, honesty is just the best. And I mean, it's time for a new kingdom, right? I mean, he's been out of that whole wheelhouse for a very long time, with all due respect. So, and he had his moment to shine. Now it's your time to shine, my friend. Now it's your time to shine. Now, so here, maybe this makes the next question even more, because I was curious about this. What about winning the Memphis Heritage Cup, like the championship, I should say, Memphis Heritage Championship? Like, what did that moment feel like?
That moment was very, very, very cool. Just because of how it was done too, where good guy Ray Sanders overcomes the evil Psycho Simon who had been terrorizing for a year, and he finally wins this moment. And me, at that time, good guy, I come running out with the Cobra Cup, which is kind of a trophy, where it works as a Money in the Bank type of gimmick. And I come running out and chop him down and take his moment right from him. It was awesome. There's people crying. There's people throwing trash in the ring. So that moment in itself was really cool. And then it's also, no matter the level, it's a big responsibility for a place to give you their championship, like the actual top championship, because they're now trusting you to work the last match, and they're trusting you with the ball in a way. So it means a lot. The moment of getting it was cool. and now having it for my second reign, because I lost it immediately because I kind of sucked, and then I got it right back. So um, it it's pretty cool. It just means a lot of getting trust and faith. Same as Action Wrestling when I was given the ball with the Action Championship and having that for over a year and being allowed to take risk with it. Like when I had asked, I kind of like nudged it like, "Hey, what do you think if I made the title a spinner?" And Matt Griffin, who runs Action Wrestling, was like, I don't really that. We've had the same title for, like 7 years or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but like I'm the youngest champion. I think it'd be a good way to kind of make an impact a little bit, change things up. And then I finally was able to convince him to get a spinner title, and which another thing that the fans did not like and people in the locker room did not like the spinner championship. They felt like I was disrespecting a legacy, so to speak. And I thought it was a good way to get my name out there. And sometimes you got to rattle the cage a little bit. And Fightful, it was. I woke up to a Fightful headline of them. It was like an article of me changing the bell, and I sent it to Matt. And I was like, I mean, it kind of worked a little bit. Got some publicity off of it.
There you
You know,
go.
whenever a place gives you their top championship, no matter the level, I think it's a very cool thing, and that means that that place, no matter the level, is trusting you with the ball. So
Yeah, I mean, press is press, right? Doing something different always makes an impact, and the idea that they actually made an article about it just proves exactly you were right about it the whole time, right? Because yeah, things change. Whether we like to, I feel like wrestling fans especially, we get hung up on the lulls of tradition and all that stuff, and it's like, yeah, but what in the last 15, 20 years hasn't changed? You know what I mean? What doesn't change? Everything evolves. Everything must go on, right? If you get stuck in the old ways for too long, you die. I couldn't imagine if Memphis wrestling like was only still on like syndicated television and they weren't on the internet because they didn't want to change. Right?
yeah, it's like I said, maybe I just think this way because I'm younger, I'm part of the new generation, but everything evolves, everything changes, no matter what you look at. Sports, I'm a big basketball guy. And I mean, the game has changed like crazy. I mean, just for one example, the 3-point shot has changed the game. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they were taking like 70% less shots from the 3-point line. Now, I mean, my goodness, almost every guy on the roster has to have a little bit of a three ball if they want to be in the league nowadays. Like a big man, you have to be required to just shoot the ball a little bit. When back in the day, you would be assassinated if you're a center and you try to take a 3-point shot versus now you have to take a 3-point shot if you want to be in the league. So everything just changes. Athletes grow, athletes get better. um you know Athletes 25 years from now are going to be changing the game and will be better than what's going on today, and that's just how time and evolution grows. Medicine gets better. um you know People improve. So
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Not to mention, how else are you going to stand out if you just do the same exact thing the last guy did? How does that make you better than them? How does that make you different from them? If you just keep doing the same old song and dance, you can only, it's like, there's some bands who can maybe take an old song and put a new spin on it, but wouldn't it be better if they just made a new song? C'est la vie, right? Um, So I know we kind of talked about it for a second, though. You face names like Nick Nemeth, Ray Sanders. You tag with Frankie Kazarian. Which match stands out as your favorite so far?
of my whole career so far, just in
Yeah,
Memphis. Oh gosh. Oh man. Ooh,
give me a top
ooh.
five.
Okay, that'd be a lot easier. Okay. Obviously the Nick Nemeth match is up there. I'm not gonna rank him, but that would be one. And that whole day, he was so cool. And that was a real, so like the Miz was like my guy, but then coming in like at a 1B would be like Dolph Ziggler when I was a kid. I just thought he was.
Bigger
I
one.
always loved the heels as a kid. I just thought they were the coolest. I couldn't give two shits about baby faces. I thought they were just lame. But Dolph Ziggler to me was a really fascinating guy as a kid. So the Nick Nemeth match, um, I had a match with Samurai Del Sol, aka Kalisto. Now I had two of them with him. I had one on Memphis TV, and then I had one on at one of our spot shows that we did at Arkansas for their minor league baseball team, the Travelers. I actually like that match better, and it sucks because that match, it was like filmed, but I don't know if it's on the channel. I actually like that match better than the TV match just because of everything that happened before and afterwards. Like that was my first time meeting him, and he he loved our match, and I loved our match too, and it was just so much fun. And afterwards, he was like, "Hey, bro, as a sign of respect and appreciation for taking care of me out there, here's this," and he gave me his mask, and that was the coolest. I think that's probably like my actual favorite match, really. Now I'm thinking about it, just because of everything that it meant. Like for him to give me his mask, and I still got it in my room, hanging up. Like I tried to put it on. Obviously, my head is way bigger than his, so like it like comes only halfway. But like it was so cool for him to give me his mask. And he's such a cool guy. I'm so glad I got to work him again. Like the Nemeth match, Samurai Del Sol, and then the two Adam Priest matches I had in last year in Action Wrestling meant a lot. The first one really meant a lot because I've won the Wrestling Adam again. Adam Priest was my third ever match in wrestling back in the fall of 2022. And he's someone I look up to, not literally because like I'm a foot and a half taller than him, but figuratively speaking, I look up to Adam Priest, and he's like kind of like a mentor. But the first match we had last year, which would have been in like June, he's already established himself, and he had gone on, he was the deep no, I don't think he was DPW champ then, but I think he was about to, but he already been like all over the world. And I was like, man, if I could prove that I can hang with this guy and keep up with him, this would be great. And I was able to do that, and he was very happy with the match, and so that meant a lot. And then the second match I got to have him in October was even way better, and that match got me a little bit of buzz. That match was like, hey, who's this Bosby kid? He's hanging with this Adam Priest, because now by that point Adam Priest already been on television, wrestling FTR and the Death Riders and everything. So I'd say the Nick Nemeth match, Samurai Del Sol match, two Adam Priest matches, and then oh gosh, there's so many, but I'll probably say probably me and Timothy Thatcher. I'm gonna put that on there because that was a cool match, and that was a match too where I learned a lot. To pull the curtain back a little bit, Timothy Thatcher doesn't like to really call too much in his matches, so like I had no idea what we were going to be doing while we were out there. It was kind of like a learning on the fly moment, and so just for that aspect alone of it, I would say I really enjoyed that match. So I'm sorry I can ramble about wrestling, but
That's the podcast, my friend. Ramble all day. So that's the bread and butter, my friend. We love it. I mean, now I'm gonna have to try to see if anywhere on the internet exists that other match, because I did watch the tape match you were talking about with Kalisto, but I did not see anything about another one. So I'm gonna have to go back and double check, because once again, I've been trying to watch a good amount of your stuff. So when I got here, I wasn't looking like an idiot, right? That's the whole point of being prepared. So I was like, oh, that's another match. I'm looking for that later for sure. If I find it before you do, I'll send it over so you can have it for sure. So
I know I got the brother link, but I don't think I'm allowed to post it. I think it's behind a paywall. But I got the brother link I can send you. So
gotcha. I'm picking it up what you're putting down, my friend. So, you talked about it, and I was thinking about asking this one because you've become such a heel. How do you handle that heat? Do you just love that stuff? Do you just simmer that? What do you do?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I've always wanted to be a bad guy. As I just said a few minutes ago, I loved the heels as a kid. I hate baby faces. I just think they're so lame. I hate being a baby face. I mean, I'm like a baby, dude. I'm crying and screaming when I get told I have to be a baby face. I'll suck it up and do it. But God, I think I suck at it. I think I'm terrible. I just love being a bad guy. So when I was wrestling in high school, people hated me then because I was trying to be a character. So like we would have our tracksuits. I'd put like the white towel in my jacket like JBL. There's even a one of the tournaments I wore a white cowboy hat trying to be like JBL. And I would wear like wrestling shirts to the tournaments, and like none of the coaches liked me my senior year, like from opposing teams and schools because I was such a dick. And like I would even try and like cheat in the matches, not even to try and help me win, but just because I liked when the audience booed. Like I liked when people didn't like me. Um, so yeah, this last pretty much almost year and a half, 2 years now, just kind of getting to be a bad guy everywhere is really cool. And, talking about the old stuff earlier, there are some things. Well, I hate watching full matches because they're just 40 minute snooze fests. There are some of the old Memphis stuff, like from Lawler, that I kind of take some little transition spots every now and then. Um, and also, I do want to clarify too, with me hating the old Memphis stuff, it's just the Memphis stuff, the old stuff that I hate. I don't hate old wrestling in general. I meant to clarify that earlier because some people, when I say I hate the old Memphis, they go, "Oh, you just hate all the old stuff." No, no, no. I just think purely Memphis sucks. So I just wanted to clarify that earlier. I think like old Japanese wrestling is awesome. I think old Flair is great. Piper is great. I just think Lawler and Dundee are the shits. But that's different. I can get off on a tangent about that. Yeah, no, I love being a heel. Um, it's so awesome. There's nothing like getting people to boo you and people to hate you. I love it so much. I cannot put into words how much I love it.
Well, and I mean, I have to agree with you on that. I do laugh when me and my daughter go to shows because we're normally friends with all the heels. We're the only ones. I don't know how many times I've been told to go fuck myself because I'm the only guy at Focus Pro Wrestling, um, rooting for Papi Guapo, Diego Alvarez, as he's out there telling everybody to go fuck himself. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is my guy. People are like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I'll like what I like. Don't be a dick. How about that? You know what I mean? Like, it's, I, it's funny how you, and I feel like it's almost been this flip in media. And like I've been talking about, like, let's say, I'm working on becoming a manager, right? And I want to be the most evil fucking manager, but I want to be a manager that's evil, and you almost like you boo him because he's an asshole, but in the back of your mind, I fuck with you where I'm right. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like anyone can just be a straight dickhead. That's easy. But the idea of making them boo you while in the back of their head they're thinking, oh man, he does have a point though, but he's an asshole, but he has a point, but I'm going to boo him anyways, right? I've always loved those kind of characters in like comic books and shit because you hate them and you want them to lose, but at the same point, are they wrong? You don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it, and you don't admit it, but part of them, that guy is right. So, but that's just my own personal philosophy, at least. Um,
Yeah,
do you have a, no, go
well,
for it.
no, I was gonna say, I just love being a heel, and I love making people so mad. Like my mom came to a show, and she can't take it when I'm good. She loves to be there because people are cheering, whatever. But when I'm bad, oh my God, she can't take it. She can't handle like however big the room is, 3, 4, 500 people booing her son, and there being a "fuck Bosby" chant and "Bosby go to hell." She's like, "Why are they?" What? She's looking at my dad. She's like, "What? They're telling our son to go to hell? Are you kidding me?" She can't take it. She hates it. And like I had a coworker come to a recent show, and I told him beforehand, like, "Hey, just letting you know, like I get in people's face, I'm probably gonna grill you." And I grilled this coworker to no ends, and he couldn't believe the stuff I was saying. He couldn't believe how much people hated me at the Memphis show. And also too, I love it because like I'm 6'3", 260 with a real wrestling background. You would think like I should just be able to wrestle straight up, but it makes people so mad when like a guy my size starts pulling out eye pokes and I'm hiding behind the referee. Like I wrestled Danny Jones for that Las Vegas action show, and like the first few seconds of the match, I'm kind of hiding behind the rope, and I'm telling the ref, get him back. And there's people in the front row, dude, you're big as shit. Just wrestle. And I looked at him and said, hey, we're on my time, okay? I'm in the ring. You're watching me. And like they got so mad and gave me the middle finger and that stuff. So like I don't know. I just love being a dickhead, and I can't say enough how much I love being a heel. I love it so much.
Just relish that shit all day. I love it. So, you're obviously we've been going really hard in the paint on this one. So my brain asks, do you watch anything now for like tape? Do you watch tape? And are you watching tape for maybe to see what your opponents are up to, or are you watching tape like, let's say, Piper, to see how to like psychologically advance and get that crowd more?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not watching tape, oh my God, what are you doing? Get out of wrestling. Get out, if you're in any sport, or if you're trying to become good at anything and you're not watching it, how can you say you're trying to be good at it? It's weird. So like, I've never stopped watching wrestling, and I can tell you, um, the exact moment, like I always said I wanted to be a wrestler, but the exact moment I knew I really was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I was at Mania 30 when Bryan won both belts, and that moment in particular, when he won and the place exploded, and I looked all around, I was like, man, I have to do this. I will do this. From literally that day on, I was 10 years old. I watched wrestling, but I would still have fan favorites like root for matches, but there was something at 10 years old where he just switched. Like I started watching the matches going like, man, look how Daniel Bryan takes that clothesline. When I become a wrestler, that's how I'm going to take a clothesline. Or like, look how, and I didn't know the terms when I was 10. So I didn't know like, oh, this is how this guy bumps or sells. I would just say, look how that guy falls. I'm going to fall like that. I like how I would say, instead of selling, I'd say reactions. So I was like, man, the way Dolph Ziggler, the reaction he gives when he takes an RKO, if I take an RKO, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to react. So like, even from a young age, it switched at 10 to watch it and study it. And I'd be in my room, practicing, trying to fall down, and like, I would practice taking moves. So that kind of carried over to now that I'm actually in the industry now. Of course, I still watch and study everything. I still watch everything modern, or that's modern, um, to see like what's going on. It's harder now, like, and it was an issue for me when I first started, like someone I mentioned earlier, like MJF, who I first saw him when I was like 15. And right at kind of my edgy teen years, watching this guy come out and tell people they're pieces of shit, I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. This guy's great. So when I first started training at 18, I was such a huge fan of his. I was just doing all of his shit. So like, but the thing is, you can't do the guys that are on TV right now. You can't do their stuff, because then why would they ever need you when they already got somebody on TV doing it? So I struggled with that a lot in the beginning. So that's why you have to go back and watch old stuff, and it's because what's old is new again. So yeah, definitely watch everything that's modern. Go back and watch things. Um, I tell you, someone who I'm starting to really become a big fan of, and that's Mr. Wrestling 2. I love Mr. Wrestling 2. My dad used to talk about him all the time, and I never really cared. But now going back, he has a lot of cool, like, kind of heel transition spots and little things that he does in his matches that get the people just irate and jumping up and down. So yeah, I watch wrestling too much. It's an obsession. I know. So
I mean, it's part of the job. I, I, it was funny because my daughter and I were recently talking about it. We're like, when was the last time we went to the movies? I don't know. When was the last movie I ever saw? I don't even know. Like, we don't, this wrestling has become the all-consuming, mothership, and we are never going back at this point. So, you said you had that moment when you were 10 that you knew this is what you wanted to do for your life career. Was there another moment down the line when you were, whether it was you were in pro wrestling school, or maybe when your first matches or whatever, where you knew this is my life, like I can do this? where it was just clear for you that professional wrestling was what you were meant to do?
I would say probably literally my first match. Well, there's been a few different instances, but I'd say the big one would literally be my first match. And I say that because I I can get nervous for matches on the days before and maybe day of, and sometimes during my entries I'm nervous, but literally I was so nervous my first match. The days building up and whatnot, and because the way it was presented, it was on Memphis TV for the main event slot for one of their championships, and we were given like 16 minutes, and that's a lot for like a first match where you have to worry about, like, we had 2 commercial break spots that you gotta worry about, and there was a lot to, like, try and remember and be all, nervous about, but literally when the bell rang, it just all went away, and every match I have, no matter how nervous I am, maybe during the entrance, the build-up, whatever, when the bell rings, it all goes away. So, like, I would say that first match was a big, big moment, and then having matches with guys like I was in a triple threat with Josh Alexander. That was a big confidence booster in Memphis Wrestling. That went very well, and gave me a lot of positive feedback, and I was like, "Oh man, okay, I I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing." And then like just getting to work bigger names and having huge sink or swim moments and always swimming, letting me know like, okay, I'm on the right track. Keep doing what I'm doing. Like Nick Nemeth, I keep bringing him up. Um, he had nothing but good things to say, and just that match was a huge confidence booster. It's like, okay, if I can hang with him, the guy I grew up watching, I'm doing something right, and I'm in the right thing.
And you couldn't have picked a better person to learn to sell from than Dolph Ziggler at that point.
Oh
You know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, come on. Um, there's a guy named well, he goes by Maestro More here, and I always say that he's like New England's version of Ziggler because he sells the shit out of everything for everybody. He's a smaller guy, but like when he takes a bump, he makes sure everybody knows it. And I mean, who sells better than Nick Nemeth? Let's be honest. Like that
nobody.
guy knows what he's doing. That
And,
guy's a
another cool thing about that was he's someone that I take a lot of my selling and bumps from, and I showed him a few different clips like, hey, can I get your opinion on this? And like, because like, there's things like, hey, when I take a drop kick, I do this big dumb bump, and I kind of try and imitate you. Like, do you think this is too much? And like, he gave me genuine tips and like some of the stuff, and he was like, just make it matter. Don't sell everything like death, because if you sell everything like death, then nothing is death. It's just the regular. Pick one or two things out of the whole match to really sell big, to make those two matter, and then you have the people driving home going, hey man, I don't remember too much from that show, but man, in that fourth match, that big Tim Bosby guy, he got hit with that drop kick, and my goodness, what a reaction. He just fell and was all around the ring like a fish out of water. My goodness, like just make people remember the one or two big moments of the match. Don't sell everything like death, because he was telling me that was something he struggled with, was making everything look good. And if you make everything look good, then it's just kind of like the normal. It doesn't really stand out, but just pick one or two moments in that match to, put over very well.
yeah. Or on the flip side, you don't want to look like Shawn Michaels when he wrestled Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's another.
Oh,
I've run into that. Because like I said, I love being a stooge bumping heel, but there have been times where I was like, okay, I'm doing this a little bit too much in this match. So, I'm looking like Sean out here.
yeah. It's not gonna work for me, brother.
Yeah.
Oh man. And that's, I mean, talk about there's not much better advice you can get than from a guy like Nick Nemeth, I'd say. Jeez. That's incredible. You know, I mean, you're 6'3", you gotta have the technician skills, but we know you love pumping in the heat. What is your favorite kind of match to do then? Like what is it that, whether a belt's on the line or not, what kind of match gets you excited for the day?
Um, I like being in there with, I don't want to say little guys, but compared to me, they kind of are little. So like a guy like some of my more recent favorite matches, Adam Priest, keep bringing him up. Slim J. I've had 2 matches with Slim J that I thought, especially that first one, I thought were really, really good. There's a guy in Memphis named Marco Harris. Just kind of that genre where it's more David and Goliath type, and because it leaves a lot more open. I feel like I can do any sort of match. The only thing I can't do, I can't backflip. It's the only thing I cannot do. I cannot backflip at all, so I'm sorry. You won't be seeing me do a moonsault, but I feel like I can fit into any style match. Like I just wrestled Nick Gage a few weeks ago, and you talk about a drastic style change that is, you know.
Jeez.
My goodness gracious, he beat the shit out of me. That match took years off my life. But like you go from a Timothy Thatcher type match where it's all technical to Nick Gage, which is brawling, to Samurai Del Sol Kalisto, where he's doing all the cool flippy stuff and I gotta be there and base him for everything. Then you have a match with like Adam Priest or Slim J where it's the little guy kind of brawling and technician there. So like I just kind of like matches with smaller opponents because I feel like I can do a lot more.
Yeah, so what it sounds like is you're okay besides that backflip you don't want to do. You're really good at running to anything. I mean, Nick Cage, Jesus Christ. I've seen that guy at Focus Pro Wrestling, and as soon as he walked out, I had my daughter get to the back of the room. I said, "Listen, I don't know what this guy's going to do. I do not want you anywhere close to this ring. Get out of here right now." So now there's a designated area for her in the back for sure.
It's funny you say that because that's literally first spot of the match. He backdrops me to the floor. I'm out there on the floor. He comes out. He tells everybody move. It's like the Red Sea. Everybody just parts. And then he grabs me and chucks my big ass into all the chairs. And everybody is scattered. He starts hitting me with all these chairs that, oh my God, you talk about the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I've never used weapons before ever in a match. I've never been in any type of like Extreme Rules match or, you know, no holds barred. Never been part of anything. When I tell you that chair shot hurt so much, dude. That sucked so bad. And like he's grabbing random items from the people in the crowd and is just hitting me with everything. He hit me. There was some guy that was on a cane, like an old man trying to hobble around on a cane. He said, "Hey, can I borrow that?" Takes this guy's cane and just hits me right in the back with it. And oh my God. But it was a very fun match. I had a lot of fun. And he was actually very, like, you would think with his like aura, like it was kind of like nervous to go approach him, but he's actually a very nice guy. And Nick Gage, and he was very, he, he was a good locker room leader. I'm really kind of killing his aura and his mystique. But he was a very good locker room guy in New South in Alabama because he went up. I watched him go to pretty much every match and give them a huge pep talk and say, "Hey, like you're here for a reason. Go kill this." And then he would give people, you know, his thoughts and opinions as soon as they came back to the curtain and tell them like, "Hey, you did this. That was amazing. This maybe I would have stayed away from this. Maybe you can improve it this way." But he was like, honestly, probably like the best locker room leader per se, or something of that magnitude. Like I've never seen somebody just kind of take control of the room, and not in a bad way. You'll see that sometimes with like a dickhead who thinks they're the locker room leader when nobody like wants to hear their opinion. But Nick Gage was like someone that everyone listened to, and someone was like, "Yo, we are all thankful that he took the time to come do this show and spread his knowledge." So
That's a wonderful story, man. I love putting out positivity in the world because there's so much negative bullshit that so many people just get fucking lost in the negative bullshit. And then I just want to be like, "Listen, motherfucker, there's other good shit happens too. If you just look for it, you'll find it." All right. How did they sell you on the? I mean, I guess it wouldn't be too hard of a sale, but like, who comes to you and says, "Go fight Nick Gage"? Like, who says that? Like, how did that come about? I'm curious.
I had heard the match was going to be happening a few months in advance. This was in the second round of the New South Pro Wrestling Hoss tournament that is up on IWTV as long with all the other shows. And I knew the match was happening, and I heard about it, and I was like, "Yeah, we're not doing that. That's just a joke." And then sure enough, we kind of get to the tournament, and I was like, "Okay, we're really following through with this." I'm really nervous. Like I was extremely nervous to meet him. But like I said, he was the coolest dude on earth. But yeah, the people at the New South office just thought it would be a good style match of Tim Bosby, the amateur wrestler type guy, versus Nick Gage, who you can't control him. And that's kind of what I wanted to. I've said this in an interview not too long ago. I don't want to be labeled as just one type of wrestler. Like, I don't just want to be known as like the technical wrestler. So you only put me in technical matches or whatever. I think I want to be like water, as Bruce Lee said, just be like water and fit into a cup. I just try and fit into whatever cup is needed. Like I said, if you need me to go against Timothy Thatcher and have a technical match, that's great. If you want me to go against Nick Gage and we just brawl around, that's great. If you want me to go against a luchador in Kalisto and have him do all his flips, I'll be there to catch him, you know? So I just try and be like water and to fit into whatever cup is needed. And my style changes depending on the match to try and match whoever I'm in the ring with.
Going toe to toe, mashing for style. That's very admirable, right? It gives, and not to mention it, then it just opens yourself up to more expansion. I mean,
Yes.
you've already really been branching out, right? West Coast Pro. We talked about Memphis and Action Wrestling, and some other promotions. How do you? I guess it sounds like you're able to balance those styles well, right? And normally a question I love to ask when I know somebody who are like you, who's been a champion in a couple of places and been to different places, my question for them is how do you measure success for yourself when you're going from different promotion to different promotion? Is it the adaptability? Is it, you know, getting the gold? What is it for you that you define success for?
I think it can be defined in a lot of ways, but I think the biggest thing of success is if you're getting asked to come back. You must be doing something right. If you're getting asked to come back, uh, like to me, that's the biggest thing of success. You must be doing something right. Like Action Wrestling is in Georgia. That's a 6.5 hour drive for me. Uh, and I kept getting asked to come back, and I still keep getting asked to come back. So I must be doing something right. So I look at that as success. Um, uh, I would literally just leave it at that, really. Like, to me, as I said earlier, getting caught up in everything, the goal was to just be a wrestler. I didn't care if I was doing this like in the backyard in front of 10 people. I just wanted to be a pro wrestler. So the fact that I've been able to travel around, and like I said, this year, the last few months, it's been picking up like crazy. You brought up West Coast Pro. That was on the bucket list to do. And to get asked to go do that, it means a lot to me. And I cannot wait for June 20th. Me and Alpha Zoe, I am going to show up and literally be the biggest dickhead in San Francisco. I cannot wait for it. It's going to be incredible. I cannot wait to run down the San Francisco people. And then that's over there on the West Coast. Then on the East Coast, August 3rd, I'm wearing the shirt because I'm a good company guy, Produce in Brooklyn, New York. That's another crazy opportunity that I cannot believe that, I was talking to my dad about the other day. It's crazy how um, I just wanted to be busy on the weekends. I just wanted to be asked to be getting to go wrestle these places. And now I'm going to be going to the West Coast for San Francisco, and then I'll be going to the East Coast for Produce. And then I've been fortunate enough to get asked to go do stuff for New Texas Pro. I've wrestled for New Texas and Houston and Austin now. So it's just cool. To me, that's success. Like the titles and everything, sure, you can look at it that way. But being able to travel around and learn the craft and being asked, and people care to ask me, just some random nobody from Memphis, to go to San Francisco, to go to Brooklyn, to go wrestle in Indiana, to go wrestle in Florida. To me, that's success. Being asked to go to all these high level shows.
Yeah, and you said that it's as simple as that, right? It's for you at all. Is any of this mind blowing or humbling in some ways?
Yeah, I absolutely. Like I said, I try and take it all in. I had a bad problem with it when I first started, like, because it was so on the go, on the go, on the go. It wasn't until like halfway through the Action title run last year, um, when I really started kind of popping off a little bit, where I was like, man, this is cool. Um, just got to keep your head to the ground. Don't get a big head, even though I do have a big head, literally. My head's the size of a watermelon. But just stay humble about everything, and you're on the right track, and just keep doing what you're doing. Um, you're very fortunate. There's not many people in the world that get to go after their dreams. And then there's another level to actually go after your dream, to start doing it at somewhat of a competent level. And I think that perspective gets lost in a lot of pro wrestlers, because there's a lot of people that want to go be, astronauts, lawyers, doctors, whatever, but maybe whatever their issue in life they ran into, they were not able to even take a first step. But a lot of pro wrestlers have gotten to do more than the first step. They get the wrestler week and they get asked for cool shows. And I feel like that perspective kind of gets lost a little bit. That the goal was to just be a wrestler. Everything else is like extra. Everything else is, icing on top of the cake. So
Yeah, I can completely see that one. And you know what? It makes me ask the question because, at least for my research, let's hope the internet doesn't burn me again on this one. I've heard you've been doing some acting work.
oh gosh. Well, me and my good buddy Dwayne Johnson. No, 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 no. Yeah, so Dwayne Johnson's show Young Rock season 3 came to film in Memphis, and in the fall of 2022. And Chavo Guerrero came to my training school and saw me training, and he was like, "You come here," and he was like, "Hey, we're doing this thing. We need some background guys and some wrestlers on the show. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm 18 at the time. I'm marking out first of all because it's Chavo Guerrero, but he's like, "Here, let me take down your name and number, whatever." And I was like, I thought it was too good to be true. I was like, "Yeah, there's nothing gonna come of this." Then, sure enough, like a week and a half later, I was at my job and I got a call from a number, like a random number, which back then, any random number calls, I never answered. Nowadays, I answer every random number call because somehow people in the wrestling business will get your number and you never know who's on the other side of the line. So I did not answer it, but then I saw a voicemail and it was like, "Hey, this is Nick from NBC Universal Studios, whatever. Are you Tim Bosby? We were interested in working with you." I almost jumped through the phone trying to call them back and saying, "Yeah, this is Tim Bosby. I'm very interested." And then sure enough, that next week I was on just working for it, Young Rock on set. I was in the first episode as a wrestler. I have like a 20-second, not even 20 seconds, it's like 10-second scene. It's like Raw's War 1997, me versus Rocky Maivia. He shoots me off the ropes. He tries to do something. I slip behind him and I roll him up, hold his tights, 1, 2, 3. So technically, my first ever wrestling match, because I didn't have my real match yet. My first ever wrestling match was Raw's War 1997, where I pinned The Rock. No big deal. But you know, the whole thing was a cool experience because I was somehow I quit my job at that time, um, and I just kept going back to set every day, because then what it turned into was I would do a lot of extra work like in the background of scenes, but then it turned into I was able to sneak onto the wrestling crew, like the ring crew. So pretty much for every ring you saw in season 3, I set up and tore down. And I was a kid in a candy store because I was 18 and Chavo would be there every day on set. So I would just go bother the hell out of Chavo in catering and just absolutely ask him all the most ridiculous wrestling questions. But he never told me, "Hey, kid, get the fuck away from me." He never hushed me away, never shooshed me away. He really liked me, and we've kept in touch. I've sent him matches. I have his number. We stay in contact. I got to see him in Vegas at WrestleCon, so that was really cool. And that whole experience was very, very, very nuts. I would not say that I'm an actor by no means, but it is funny that I have like I have a what do you call it, like an IMBD profile or whatever, and it says Young Rock. So that's kind of cool.
Right. See, and that's a great story because, first of all, I mean, who doesn't respect Chavo Guerrero? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't respect the Guerrero only? Come on, you could it doesn't the last name, if they're part of that Guerrero family, you got to have all the respect in the world. So the fact that you were able to get that experience is pretty incredible. That's smart on you to keep it and to keep going back, and smart on you to be like, "Listen, I get to talk to Chavo Guerrero. I'm going to keep talking until he tells me to go screw myself," or something, right? Like, there's no reason.
Those were long, long, long days. Like, I don't know how. And what was cool about it was it gave me a perspective into how Hollywood works, I guess, and how the movie and TV industry works, because those are, I mean, you're there at like 4 a.m. and then it doesn't wrap till 1 a.m. the next day. Those are so boring days, but like getting to talk to Chavo all day, every day, and getting to watch how production works and how the lighting all works and all the film, the budgeting, how everything goes into it. That was a really cool experience. And that lasted, I mean, gosh, that lasted from like September to about beginning of February. So yeah, about fall 2022 to kind of winter of 23. So it was a really good learning experience, about 4 or 5 months of just picking Chavo's brain and kind of watching how Hollywood and TV works.
Those are some. I mean, you can't pay for that experience for most people. So I'm sure that's a very, life altering experience, to be fair. Also, the idea that you can just call Chavo, that's a hell of a flex on anybody, right?
Yeah, he's the most famous person,
Just do it.
most famous person's number I
Boom.
got.
Right. Be like, hey, Chavo. Boom. There you go. Slap it in their face. Man, that's a beauty too. Now, when I read about that fact, I was like, oh, I gotta know more. There's got to be a story here. So that's a better story than even I thought that was going to be. To be quite frank with you, I was like, all right, gotta write this down. Sometimes I get stuff, and it's like, all right, the internet says it, but is it true? I don't know. Let's find out. All right, boom. That's a great story. So the idea that you could just pick that, and he's been in so many productions lately. There have been a ton of wrestling shows, you could say, over the past decade or so, and he's been involved in one way or the other. So it's incredible to see where, it makes sense to me when they have someone like Chavo Guerrero being the wrestling consultant. It makes more sense when you watch the show and the wrestling doesn't suck. It's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense, right? Because let's be honest, as wrestling fans, they'll put some stuff out that's like wrestling related, and even as a wrestling fan, you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this? This is not wrestling, dude. Like, this is I always use the word probably way too much, some jabroni's version of what they think wrestling is. It's not wrestling whatsoever. Who did they hire to be the wrestling consultant on this show? So the fact that more and more people are smart enough to hire a Guerrero, all right, well, smart on them for sure.
Yeah, and that was really, really cool, because he was the wrestling coordinator, was his official term, and watching him he was the one, every wrestling scene you saw, like, it was him piecing it together, like, spot by spot, and having to tell the actors, that played the famous characters what to do. And what was cool about it, right at the end of that, which would have been like December, January, he started working on the Von Erich movie, and he was flying back and forth from Memphis to, I think they were shooting that in Cali or something. So he was flying back and forth doing the coordination for the Young Rock and then going to do the coordination for that Von Erich movie. And I picked his brain on that. I was like, how's that going? And we're talking about the Von Erich movie. So really cool dude, Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, definitely. And that Von Erich movie, I know some people give it shit, and I'm pretty sure even Kerry Von Erich wasn't a big fan of it, but man, that was a rough watch for some people like me who have 7 brothers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh Jesus, I couldn't imagine being the only one left. I do have 7 brothers. That wasn't me being facetious. That was being accurate, to be fair.
Oh my goodness, 7 brothers.
To be fair, if people are like, is that guy just being a sarcastic prick? I am always a sarcastic prick, but the number 7 is the accurate number of brothers I have, all right? And 1 sister, if you're curious, 1 sister. Man, let me tell you, when we talk about a protected sister that never had to worry about shit, that's a protected sister. Let me tell you something. She makes a phone call and 5 dudes show up ready to pummel anything in their fucking way. All right, boom. That's how we do it, baby. It's true. It's true. I know you're the opposite, right? You said you're an only child, so you didn't have to worry about that stuff. But I grew up in a big household, lots of cousins, lots of aunts and uncles. So half Irish, half Italian. It's a big family, man. All Catholic. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness.
Right. Right. So, man, you talked about that. We've talked about so many great things. Is there anything that you feel like maybe you're looking to do in 2026? You talked about going to West Coast. You're talking about going to Brooklyn. You thinking about maybe going to Canada someday? Maybe going to
Uh,
Mexico? Maybe going to Australia?
Absolutely. So that's like the big, well, I shouldn't say it's the biggest, but probably the next big goal now is to get out of the country and go wrestle in Canada, Mexico, or Germany. And I'm looking to make that happen towards the end of the year. Wink, wink, nod, nod. There may be something in the works. But yeah, going to wrestle outside the country is like, to me, like the biggest goal right now. And 2026 has just been, it just keeps going on up. Things just keep happening. Things just keep falling in my lap. So I'm hoping it keeps going that way. I'm just very blessed and grateful every day that I get to do my dream of being a pro wrestler and that I'm not just a local guy. I'm not just the 40 miler, wrestling in the Memphis area and that's it. Like people want to see me wrestle in other different areas and I'm getting asked to go wrestle in different areas. And I think that's really cool. So I'm just blessed and fortunate and taking it day by day.
See, and that's such a great thought process to have. And, especially with wrestling, my coaches have told me on so many occasions, networking is like super important. It's kind of crazy how networking is almost more important in some instances than other things, to be fair. Because I've asked my coaches, like, hey, what if I was trying to get on a card here, there, or there? What would I need to do? And they're like, well, first thing you should do is probably know somebody. That would be the easiest way. So and as DDP would say, it's not just who you know, but who's willing to say they know you. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if they're putting their ass on the line, right?
Literally, what I have learned, well, what my dad told me when I was a young kid, just about life in general, that I now use it and apply it to wrestling because it's really true. Like, sure, in wrestling, you need to be talented and good or whatever, but what it really comes down to is timing, luck, and who's willing to say your name in a room that you're not in. And I've been very blessed and grateful to make good relationships with people that have talked about me in rooms that I'm not in and have said nice and good things and has led to opportunities like West Coast. I had a lot of people go to bat for me. Produce here. I had a lot of people go to bat for me. Action Wrestling, that's how that got started. New Texas Pro, that's how that got started. Just don't be a dick in wrestling and think good things can happen. Who would have thought that'd be something, breaking news. So, you know.
Yeah. Ah, sounds like your dad's a smart man. Very smart guy for sure. Right? I know myself, there was a time where I didn't want to admit that my parents were smarter than me, and then I got to an age where I'm like, I should probably tell them that I now see why they said that to me.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta appreciate it when you have it for sure. So I like to throw a curveball out every once in a while. So here's a couple of curveballs here. You've been on plenty of podcasts and done plenty of things already. What's one thing you haven't been asked yet that you want to talk about?
Oh gosh. Uh Man, what haven't I been asked yet? I'm
Right?
trying to anything. Do What do I think the most overrated match is? Because I've said it a lot in locker rooms, and I get a lot of heat for what I think the most overrated match of all time is. I would upset a lot of people, but I've never publicly have put it on a platform. Um, So I'd probably say that, but I have some picks up there that of matches that are very critically acclaimed, but I think not saying they're bad matches. I just think they're a little bit overrated. So I haven't really been into that category. That's really all I could think of, really.
Yeah, I can, man. And fans are so finicky; they could roast you to death over some of the simplest things. Um, and I'll say one. I'll say one. I've told my daughter that there are some matches, whether people like it or not, that if there wasn't a giant crowd or a crowd that fed them, some of these matches would have been the most boring bullshit matches that nobody ever gave two shits about, right? And then I mean, I'll take some heat right now. Rock versus Hogan, X7, right? If it wasn't for the crowd, watch the match back without the crowd. It's not the end all of the world, but you turn that sound on, you're like, holy fuck, this is a moment in history, right? A moment in time that people will never forget. But if you watch that, if you would have just put that on a regular Saturday with like in front of 15 people, would it have been the same thing? Probably not. So some people don't like to hear that. Some people are like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, am I though? If that crowd really fucking fed that shit, let me tell you. Let me talk to you. Getting the heat already, man. How about a travel story? I've asked people if they have any good, and if you need to leave out names or whatever, because I've heard some
Ready to leave out names.
crazy shit of people like shitting their pants and throwing up on the side of the road and all kinds of crazy shit. But they're like, have you had like maybe a crazy weird venue? Like I had a guy who had to drive to the top of the mountain to wrestle in a tiny fire department. Like I've had people had to drive to the weirdest, most random spots in West Virginia up or whatever so they can do whatever. So now my brain's just like, has everybody got a story like this? I gotta know, man. Do you have any weird, like maybe the trip itself was wild? I had a person who got stuck on a ferry and going in the wrong direction. Or the venue itself was crazy, or maybe the booking was out of control and you wish you never took it, right?
I don't really have anything that is jumping off top of my head. I mean, well, actually, you know what? Okay, I actually do have one. Now it's come to me now. So this is when I first started. Um, this technically wasn't for a show, but it's wrestling related. Memphis Wrestling was going to pick up our house show ring, our ring that we were going to use for the spot shows. Because the ring that's used on TV that you see or in the Memphis building, that just stays there. They wanted a travel ring separately. So I was still training. So I was a part of the crew that had to go pick up this ring. And this was somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, literally middle of nowhere. And there's a few of us. We're here to pick up the ring. We're buying this wrestling ring from like this older white couple. They're like in their 60s. And we're all just kind of standing there and, they're talking about the ring or whatever. And then they talk about that the guy that owned it was a really nice guy. And I shouldn't be telling this, but he was a really nice guy and he's passed away. And how sad it is. And we were like, oh, our condolences. We're sorry. There's about 7 or 8 of us here. And he goes, yeah, me and my wife, we're going to miss him at the meetings. And somebody goes, oh, what are you guys, like in a club or something, like a book club or whatever? He goes, oh, no, we were part of the Klan. We're going to miss him at the Klan meetings. And
oh, Jesus.
I'm the only black guy in this group of guys that was there to pick up this ring. And it's so funny because everybody turns and looks at me and is like, go back to the car right now. Go back to the car right now. And like the guy went into it because they asked her, like, are you like the Klan? And he goes, yeah. And they start talking about the rallies and how much they hate black people. And it's a whole thing. And I'm like, so I'm the only black guy there. And so I didn't have to pick, which I joke about it. Like, I was like, oh, I'm glad they were part of the Klan because I didn't have to pick up the ring. Like, I didn't have to pick up any of the boards, none of the ring posts. I didn't have to do anything. All the other guys loaded up on the truck. I literally went back to like the car and just went under the seat. I was 18. That's like I just started training. That's probably like my craziest story was this older white couple admitting that they're part of the Klan and their buddy who passed away was a part of the Klan.
That would be a nightmare. That would be a nightmare. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure, and I know there's been so many times in my life where people act like, well, you're trying to pull a thing, and I'm like, I'm not trying to pull a thing. But like, I have a brother who's half black. He's biologically my brother. He's half black. So does that mean you're gonna shoot me? I have 2 children. I've been engaged to a black woman. I have 2 boys that are half black. Does that mean I still get shot too? Because I'm fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck those people. I'm gonna say, Jesus Christ, I'll take care of you first, I guess. But Jesus, Mary and Joseph, good for you to at least get out of Dodge before they started doing whatever the lunatics do. Jesus, that's crazy. That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I'm
But
lucky
like,
enough.
okay.
See, like my mother is white, my father is black, and a lot of people don't know what I am off rip. When people first meet me, they may think I'm like Puerto Rican or Mexican or something. They don't really know what I am, and I guess those people could not really tell. But yeah, that was a crazy situation. That was it was so funny because like everyone else, as soon as the words like, yeah, we're part of the Klan, when that came out of that guy's mouth, everybody just looked at me because they were all, white guys, and they were like, get away. Go back to the car right now. So that was funny.
This guy's got a shotgun somewhere. We don't want it with your name on it, bro. It's not worth the stepping. Let's get out of here. Oh my gosh. See, I told you everybody's got a crazy story, man. Everybody for so many crazy. I think that wins, though. I think you're the new winner of the best crazy
Oh
story for
gosh.
sure. I think that's the new King of Memphis has rightfully taken the throne here in the craziest stories award. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. My brain is like, what? Where are we? What was I even thinking? Yeah, how do I come back from that? Where do I go? Where do I go? I thought I had a whole list of things here. So now that you're safely away from the racists, and we've talked about the stuff that you're hoping to do for 2026, that you're going to be doing for 2026. Do you have is WWE champion your long-term goal? Is that the idea?
I don't really get into the when I first started, like, to go be this champ, be that champ, be this champ. I just want to be able to do professional wrestling as a full-time job, and be successful at it. Whatever else that entails for whatever company would be great. That's all there really is to it. I just want to be able to do this as a full-time job, whether that's working, in Jacksonville, or, working in Stanford or New York, as they used to say back in the day, or going maybe New Japan or whatever company in general, just being able to do this full time, or maybe not even have to do it. If I can just travel on the independence and make a good full-time living, that is all I want to be able to do. I don't really look at like championships and goals and all that stuff. I just want to be able to do it as a full-time job.
Man, your philosophy's so open. I love the whole Bruce. I used to listen to Bruce Lee's, philosophies on life all the time, just because he had such a great concept. And I really can hear that coming through with you. I mean, not only did you use his name, but the idea that you're willing to just go anywhere. Because, I mean, so many people have, not to say there's anything bad about it, but so many people like, well, I grew up only watching the WWE, and the only thing that will ever be success to me is when I get that WWE championship. And it's like, it's going to be a long road, my friend. I'm just letting you know. I don't know. It's going to be a long road. If that's the only thing that will ever make you happy, I hope you get it. I genuinely hope you get it, but it's going to be a long road coming before you get there, my friend. So, getting do something in between. Whew. Now my questions about going on TV sound so minuscule compared to that last talking. So, you're on these different platforms. You're doing all of your different stuff. Do you have a pro wrestling tees or anything like that? I didn't see one.
I
But I
do.
could have been.
I do have a pro wrestling tees. I need to put a new shirt on there. It's been about a year. I got 3 shirts up on there, and I do have a pro wrestling tees. Should be Tim Bosby, I'm assuming. Hopefully, still is.
It's like, we have to look that one up. Merchandise. I mean, as the heel, it must be a little difficult to remove the merch, though. at this stage, right? It's because there's some people in the room that don't like the heels.
Yeah, but then like, some people now, like I think they just enjoy booing me. I think they enjoy seeing me because they know I'm going to be so over the top. Um, and like I've had a lot of people after shows that, booed me and gave me all this type of hell after the shows be like, hey man, you're so cool. Like I'm just a big fan and keep doing what you're doing. So like, the merch numbers sometimes they're good. I'll definitely say when I was a good guy in Memphis, it was selling like hotcakes, and then you turn bad. Who knew? You start telling people to go f themselves. They don't want to buy your stuff anymore. What a crazy concept. Who would have thought that? But yeah, as a heel, it can be a little bit challenging.
Yeah. And I recently heard MJF answer this question. As a heel, is there a line you will not cross, I wonder?
Yes. So I do not go into anybody's religion. I do not go into anybody's religion, gender, sexual preference. I do not go into any of that. But I will make fun of you for what you're wearing. I will make fun of you for if you're wearing a certain wrestler's T-shirt that I'm not a fan of. Um, you know, I'll I'll say things of that nature. I won't say nothing too crazy specific, but I just tell people to go piss off, or I'm better than you, or whatever. Um, I don't know. I won't. I've seen guys toe a very tight line on the things that I mentioned that I will not do, like religion or gender or sexual preference. I think you're an idiot to go that far, but I've seen some guys toe a very crazy line, but I will not go there. So those are my lines there.
So, this is a question I love to ask heels. What's your personal philosophy on cheap heat?
Um, I I like it when it's easy to do, and I do all the time when I am wrestling somewhere for the first time ever, and I'm like, man, these people aren't gonna know me. So like, I'll like in New Texas, people don't know who I am. I walked out. They kind of assumed I was a bad guy. So they were like, oh, boo, we guess. We don't really know you. And then I got in the ring. I told the ring announcer, I told him to come here. And I told him to say that, Tim Bosby just wants everybody to know he hates the state of Texas. Very cheap, very simple. As soon as the ring announcer says it, people jump up. Hey, don't talk about Texas. Hey, we're from here, man. People start getting all mad. And then I told the ring announcer to say, Texas, it doesn't have honorable people. But you know what does have honorable people? Memphis, Tennessee. And then the people start booing, and it's funny, like when I'm in Memphis, I crap on Memphis. But when I go everywhere else, I like use Memphis as a prop up. And I go like, yeah, the people in Atlanta are not as honorable as the people in Memphis. And like, I'll do the same thing at West Coast. Hopefully I'm going to go say, I hate San Francisco. San Francisco sucks. And then Memphis is better. And then the people, nobody wants to hear that their place sucks, and they don't want to get told that. So I like cheap heat, So, I mean, it's cheap, but like it comes in handy when nobody knows you and you're working a show for the first time. So
Yeah, no, that's a valid. Because I know so many people will try to shy away from it because like, oh, it's so easy and whatever. I'm like, yeah, I mean that's why they call it cheap heat. I get it. I understand the definition. Thank you. But that's a perfect example of when it could be used appropriately and effectively. Because when they don't know you, you got to connect with them as soon as possible and tell them that their town sucks is a pretty good way of doing that, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this trashy, no good. I love watching anything, whether it's on TV or off TV, when MJF just calls everyone a scumbag. I don't know what it is. I don't know what, but when he just goes up to like random people and he's just like, "You're a scumbag," and it's like a 13-year-old kid trying to get his autograph. I don't know why. Just like now it's stuck in my lexicon. I can't stop calling everybody a scumbag these days. Because it's just when it works, man. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
Woo, man, this has been a great great conversation so far. I genuinely appreciate the fact that you took time out of your day to come chat with me, man. Like it's been really cool for me. I appreciate it.
Well, I thank you for having on. I'm sorry if there's been times where I've rambled on a little bit too much. Wrestling and basketball is really all I like. So those are two things I can ramble on about, but especially wrestling. So I'm sorry if there's been some points where I went on a little too much, but this is great. I love talking about wrestling. It's all I really know what to talk about. So
Right? I mean, I do love basketball. I'm sure we're on opposite ends because I'm a Celtics fan. So, um,
yeah, I
you
hate
know,
the Boston Celtics. Here's the
okay.
thing. Even though I'm from Memphis, I've never been a fan of the Memphis Grizzlies, even when we had grit and grind with Zebo and Tony Allen, Marc Gasol and everybody. I'm actually a big New York Knicks guy, and we're doing pretty damn good right now. So I'm ecstatic. So what a game last night. Jalen Brunson, just when I was about to turn the game off and I was about to throw my remote and be pissed off because we were down by 24 with 7 minutes to go, Jalen Brunson does what Jalen Brunson does better than anybody else, and that's be clutch. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine about basketball because basketball was invented in Massachusetts. We have the Hall of Fame here in Springfield, and there's also like a whole museum because that's literally where it was invented. And um, he made me realize that the basketball I played all the time as a kid wasn't so much basketball as it was just punching people in the face while trying to get a hoop in. So, you know, coming from the streets of Lowell, there's a lot of like pickup games, a lot of street ball. And he was talking about like, well, how's your jump shot and stuff like that. And I was like, I never really got to do a lot of that. I didn't think about it because it was like there was that whole like no harm, no foul in the street ball. Whereas basically there was just like people tackling each other for the ball, and there was not a lot of the fundamentals. What a shocker, I know. That a bunch of idiot kids thought it was more fun to get into a fist fight over basketball than to really play the game. But I mean, I had to chuckle at myself because you were talking about, 3-pointers, and then my brain just immediately thought of Larry Bird because back in the day, he seemed to be the only person on earth that could get a goddamn 3-pointer in a time span. But no, yeah, no, it's definitely been great, and ramble on as much as you want. We're here to talk about professional wrestling in its entirety, forwards and backwards, and the idea of that, it gives people more insight into the way you are. And it's like, hey, anybody asks me, he's like, this guy genuinely just likes being a dick. It's more fun for him. I find it to be refreshing. I find it to be therapeutic. I like to even do the cosplay thing where I dress up the Joker and scare the fuck out of people walking around at the Comic Cons. Like, I just think it's more fun. I've done it a couple of times now, and it's been hilarious. Especially when the voice turns on and people aren't expecting it, and they're like, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm like, "I don't know what to tell you, bro. You came to the wrong con. Let me tell you." But yeah, man, no. Once again, it's been super awesome having you on here. It's been a genuine pleasure, and I definitely hope to get back down south pretty soon for some shows. Especially this summer now that my daughter's been we've just been getting more stuff to do, and there's just been a couple of more people we want to go travel and see anyways, and there's just so much good wrestling going on genuinely everywhere in America right now, and sure, you might go to some podunk town and see some outlaw mud show, as Jim Cornette would say, right? Plenty of outlaw mud show wrestling, but there is some pretty phenomenal talent that's all over the place. So hopefully we get a chance to come down and see you in the home of Memphis, man. That would be a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, I would try not to go too hard at you guys like I do everybody else, but that would definitely be a time.
Right, right. No, we I would say a majority, like I said, a good majority of the people we talk to are heels in general, and they come out and they rip us a new one and then give us the wink, and then we're like, yeah, we're cool, man. Or if anything, I don't mind being a softball. You know what I mean? Like, oh, look at this fucking asshole. He comes down here from Boston thinking he's some kind of special dick face. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, what? Me? Never. What? You know, you're like, just fucking play into it. I wouldn't mind. That'd be hilarious, especially because it'd be like a plant. Nobody knows the fuck I am. I'm sure in Memphis, besides you, right? Everybody else would be like, who the fuck is this guy? It'd be hilarious. It'd be a great time. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a pleasure. For anyone who's a fan on the channel wondering what is next, to the next episode, I have an interview with the Wind Dragon, Dustin Wen. I met him at the Simon Miller show, actually. Him and the other people were there at the Ups and Downs on that Sunday night. So, I mean, he's had a crazy match against Danhausen. That shit was wild watching that stuff. So, but for everybody else, make sure you check out the new King of Memphis and get the t-shirts at Pro Wrestling Tees. Check him out at Action. Keep an eye on that produce. Keep an eye on that West Coast Pro coming up really soon. And we hope everybody, I'm sending everybody, hope you have a good day. All right. Peace out.